Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy, the Chat Kid, coming back even for a fire video. And today, as you can see by the title, we're doing a creepypasta called Unknown Format. This one is actually quite interesting, because this one doesn't have a lot of, bloody thing, traction to it. Which is a shame, honestly. Because I've been reading through it a little bit and it seems pretty cool. Although, for all I know, it could just be a complete fail. Oh well, alright, let's just get right into it. Dear Nick, remember last month how you let me rip your game collection before your family moved? First of all, thanks. You've always been a really awesome friend. Now, I'm not really sure how to start this, but I don't think we're going to get to talk too much after this. Some important stuff is about to happen. I don't know if I get another chance to talk before that. I just wanted to let you know what's happening from me before you started hearing about it from everybody else. You know how Steve and Chris like to twist things around. I guess the best way to start this right from the beginning. After you left your games with me, I started trying to rip them right away. Damon Tools and Alcohol had trouble with the copy protection of a few though. I tried looking on forums for workarounds for an hour or two, but no dice, couldn't get them to work. Finally got fed up and went to see if there were any programs that worked better. Most of what I turned up was stuff you and me tried didn't work, although you had to shell out $300 and then put a keylogger on your machine to make sure you didn't use it. You didn't misuse it. You search the same sites as me, you know the ones. Anyway, I finally turned up something on this obscure torrent site. I've got a couple things from them before, but it's pretty much ye old site of desperation. Remember that site? Yeah, the guy who posted looked like he'd put the description through Google Translate. What it was some Japanese program. Shikami no Tengen, I probably butchered that pronunciation. The guy said the name meant four gods in heaven. Probably not though. I think his Japanese was as good as his English. What he claimed though was they could get around any copy protection and rip the discs as smaller files than any other program. If I know you, you're rolling your eyes so hard right now. I don't know what that means. Thing is, I looked at the reviews and they seemed totally legit. A bunch of people gave it high marks, and they were praising this guy for uploading the program. He had a good amount of seeds. Even. I mean, sure, there were people complaining like fracked their computer, or that every file came out messed up. But you see that on any torrent, right? They got the usual read the damn instructions noob replies. So I figured it was good to go and start downloading. In no time at all, I was ready to install it. The directions in the file are pretty straightforward. Switch the computer to Japanese Unicode, run the installer, switch back to English and apply crack to make it work. It didn't take long. The installer was supposed to show pictures and play music while it ran, I think, but the images were broken and just did a slideshow of solid colour screens. The music just came out static, and I turned off my speakers until it was done. I was a little worried this wasn't going to work, but I had all those positive ratings, so I gave it a chance. Sure enough, once I went through all the steps, it ran fine. Simple interface, pretty easy to use. The only thing was a warning that came in the README files. Files will be in unknown format, rename .iso, and mount external. Do not try to run. That's literally a copy and paste of the warning. Made sense to me though. The program was Japanese, patched to work with English. I figured that probably messed up the file extensions. I tried it with Civ 4 in that obscure as hell shooter you're so proud of, and it worked fine. Heck, it really was as good as they said. Really did even make the file smaller. The only thing was the file extension. It came out as bracket name close bracket .4 for both games. When I switched them to ISO files and mounted them through Damon Tools though, they worked. Absolutely flawless. No errors or copy fail that I could see. So I did the rest of them. It took a while and I got tired, but you know, I had them back to you the next day. I've had a lot of good times with those games. Put the hell out of Hellgate. Reaffirmed that I'll never be a pro at StarCraft 2. Completely forgot that Skyrim had a main quest. All the kinds of stuff we used to do on gaming nights when you were here. I totally platonic miss you, bro. So eventually I worked my way through the files and found a couple I'd forgot to rename. I must have been tired. Just for the hell of it, I decided to what would happen if I tried to run Portal 2 as a .4 to see what happened. I figured it'd just get the usual Windows error when you use an unrecognised extension, but no. It came with an error message that I couldn't read in Japanese. Well, that got me thinking. If it popped up, it must be able to read the file. Maybe I could switch computer into Japanese again and that would work? I decided to try, and surprisingly it did work. Not only did it work, but the file just like when it had been routed to the virtual drive. It wasn't normal though. On the loading screen it showed the inside of the dingy rundown test chamber with Chow sprawled out on the ground. She had the portal ground in one hand, but her head and limbs were at odd angles and things on her legs. Her long fall boots, they looked cracked with the strut things on the back bent out of shape. It looked like it was showing what would happen if the boots ever broke, and she did hit the ground too hard. It freaked me out, but it wasn't on the screen for long. At the title screen, GLaDOS's eyes seemed a little redder, and there were flickers of flame just out of sight in the background. Instead of leaves, these little embers would drift by from time to time. To be honest, I wasn't sure what to think, but I remembered that time way back when we played Fire Red on an emulator, and the ferryboat guy said, "If you like this game, buy it or die." I figured it was just something like that, just a trick to scare people into not playing a pirated copy. None of the other games I'd run through the Shikami program had a problem, but maybe it only properly bypassed the protection when you ran it as an ISO, right? I couldn't stop. It wasn't stopping the game from being played, and once I got over the initial shock, it actually seemed kind of cool, so I kept playing. Everything was darker, and there was a kind of fog along the ground. Even if part of the game where everything was clean and new, the picture you were supposed to stare at was just a red space, and the music was nothing but static. But, oh well. The data wasn't supposed to be read this way, so it was understandable that there would be errors. When I got to Wheatley though, he was a lot meaner than usual. He asked me to say apple, then just started laughing and saying, "You can't, you're brain damaged." And then some more. That harsh, cruel laugh he uses later in the game. He told me right out that everyone was dead, and I had to help him or I'd die too. I can't be sure, but the way he talks sounded like he knew that everyone he knew that Chell had killed GLaDOS too, and he wanted to bring her back. When I got to the second of the old test chambers, and there were mangled bodies on the floor, not gore mind you, just broken bodies looking as old as the rest of it. It's not like I don't play some gory games sometimes, but the shift in tone was just really unnerving the hell out of me. So, I stopped playing Portal. If it was a way to deter pirates, it had worked on me. I wasn't even sure if I'd be willing to try it as an ISO to see if it worked normal that way. Still, I had a few other .4 files that I'd actually changed to whatever the Japanese version of 4 was, but that wasn't the point. I had other games to try, and I didn't feel like switching my computer back just yet. I figured I'd play something more relaxing to take my mind off it. Need for Speed seems like a good pick. The opening sequence showed a 15-car pile-up during a thunderstorm, while news reports talked about the death toll in the background. Nope, not AVI. So I tried Serious Sam HD. No idea how I forgot to set that one up. The gameplay. Some things are better left unsaid, but I know that game had never had human sacrifice in it before. At this point, I was pretty damn freaked out, and I started to have suspicion of what was going on. I put the computer back in English, and tried a couple of games for a few minutes each. Nothing wrong with any of them. Even Portal 2, when I switched it over to an ISO extension, was perfectly normal. On a whim, I changed a couple of games back to .4s and switched over again. I only got around to trying Civilization. My save file worked fine with it, but just, what the hell? There was new research that I'd never seen before. Things that there was no way that would code it into the game. Some of them seemed harmless, like Manifest Destiny, while others are along the lines of tyranny and xenophobia. They got you upgrades like slave markets and concentration camps. There's a new religion too. Ever heard of Yazidi before? I hadn't. There are also events like plagues, accidents and natural disasters where it would show a clip of your city's population suffering. Just like with the other games, playing as at a .4 made the game darker in tone. I don't know how the hell that's possible, but it did. I thought, maybe, it was some sort of novelty software, when you ran the game for it, it streamed a mod for whatever you were playing. Yeah, stupid idea, I know. But some people go for a lot just for the trouble of a prank, right? Like, remember that time we wanted to get back at your sister for giving away those concert tickets she won, even though she knew that you and I loved Radiohead, and we got all our friends and some of our buddies in on it. So yeah, I tried disconnecting my router and restarting the game. On my first turn, it announced that England was working for a wonder. The final solution. There was one more thing I had to try at that point. On a whim, I ripped my DVD of Incast one day, put it into the right format. It had run just as flawlessly as anything else. Now I tried as a .4 file. This film played out how it should. The actors said their lines and did what they normally would, at least until the market scene. They all looked the same, but there was something going on in the background that shouldn't have been there. I watched, transfixed, as a beggar that was never there before was kicked savagely from a well-dressed man and collapsed in a heap. A woman in a red coat twisted her son's arm so it looked like she'd popped out of her socket, dragging him off screen as he resisted. A thug ran up and stabbed an elderly woman in the stomach, taking her purse and running as the rest of the crowd just stepped around her bleeding body. I shot off the place, feeling sick to my stomach. So, at that point I realised I didn't want this shit on my computer. Not ever. Hold on. Oh, what have I done now? I deleted the file. Oh, my. I deleted the files and ripped on the spot. Then I told the computer to uninstall Shikami no Tagen. To uninstall, it brought up the same business as it did when I installed it. The graphics and audio weren't broken this time. The speakers played sounds of people speaking Japanese. I couldn't tell what they were saying, but they sounded terrified. They screamed a lot. I could have turned it off, but I didn't. I have no idea why. They screamed and the monitor showed me photo after photo of crime scenes, accidents, disasters, anything where people had died horribly. There were shots that looked like a single frame of people being vaporized by an atom bomb. Just before the camera was destroyed, with the flash of the bomb somehow filtered out, there was a cave where a man sat frozen to death, surrounded by the remains of his companions he'd killed and eaten, trying to stay alive. In another shot, a woman who looked like she'd been drained of blood had her skin and her forehead peeled back, and some symbol I didn't recognise, probably something Japanese, carved into her skull. They were all horrible, the worst things I've ever seen, and I just sat there, numb, and watched while the screams of the dying echoed in my ears. As I was watching though, I realised something. People always look away. They don't want to face the horror and tragedy in this world. They don't want to see. Horrible things happen all the time, everywhere, and we just pretend like it doesn't matter, like it doesn't affect us. It's not right. So you see, that's why I'll be going away for a long time. Somebody has to do something about what's wrong in this world. Somebody has to make them see. So I'll be the one to open people's eyes to the horror. I'll make this right. Always your friend, Redacted. That's the last thing my best friend ever sent to me. 3 weeks later, the police found him living in the bomb shelter of an abandoned house in our old neighbourhood. He was wanted for a string of violent crimes in the area, including what they called ritualistic murder, arson, and tampering with traffic direction in an attempt to cause a major accident. They said that they found various poisons and bomb-making supplies in his hideout. It was a huge shock to any of us who knew him. His family was pretty poor, but being our class president, on the debate club, even a track star, he got along with everybody. Thinking how he could have snapped like that is just unbelievable. I guess that's why I followed him up on his crazy story. I wanted to believe there was something that caused him to turn into what he did. Searching the internet didn't turn up much though. There was no trace of a program called Shikami no Tengen anywhere. Though I did learn a Shikami was a type of Japanese demon. I'd be prepared to leave it there, but I was a little confused about how the person had supposedly translated it had come up with 4 gods in heaven. So I did a little bit more digging and found that kami is a word for god, is a Japanese for god, and shi is 4. 4 also has a special connotation in Japan though. It's considered an unlucky number, because it's pronounced the same way as their word for death. Dun dun dun! I actually don't know how to feel about that. Honestly, that wasn't that bad. You know, like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. That was not that bad. So, yeah, here's my thoughts. I thought the violence at the end was a little bit bizarre, but other than that, it really wasn't even that bad, you know? I mean, what can I say? In all honesty, I thought that was pretty good. Although, even from a creepypasta standpoint, it's not that good. Oh well. I mean, I actually quite enjoyed it. So, hey ho. Yeah, that's been the video. I feel like I want to keep talking a little bit. Hey ho, you guys. If you want me to, I had a plan on, I have a plan about, bloody, just like, you know, have you guys ever heard of epic rap battles of history? Because if you have, then that's pretty friggin' poggers. And they did a video, it's a creepypasta, like mass thing, like rap battle. But I've noticed that there were quite a few inaccuracies in it. But yeah, in all honesty, I reckon that'd be a pretty good video where I dissect all the things, or I dissect all the things. Will you guys watch that? Yeah, I think, yeah, if you watch it, then you'll watch it. Oh well, bye bye, check it out.